Hello everybody, today I got my Public Castration is a Good Idea shirt on. I have my signed Public Castration is a Good Idea LP. So today we are obviously talking about swans. It's been a while since I made a video about music on this channel, and I am under the impression that many of you are subscribed to hear me talk about music. Hopefully you weren't subscribed for my Zappa stash, cause it's dead. But in my video where I talk about all of Anthony Fantano's 10s, I talked about my favorite being To Be Kind. I had some people agreeing with me, I had some people disagreeing with me, but either way, today I thought I'd talk about the top 10 songs by the band Swans. For those of you who don't know much about this band, they've been active since 1981, so 43 years, and I feel like they've only gotten better over time. Now, defining the band is kind of hard because the band members have changed so much over the years, but many people would agree with me that the best period for this band was the 2010s. I really can't think of a single other band who is doing their best work 30 years after they started. That's super rare in any artistic field. Genre-wise, they're pretty varied, doing a lot of post-rock and noise rock, but there's also some stuff that's a lot more punky, there's stuff that's more acoustic, and there's stuff that's just completely experimental. But I think what defines some of their most famous music is that they are pushing the boundaries in terms of volume and size and grandiosity in terms of making the biggest sounding rock songs possible. But I also think the band has this spiritual connotation as well, especially because of their lyrics. They are not for the impatient, especially since reforming in the 2010s, they have created songs that are album length. On their most recent album, The Beggar, they made a song that's 45 minutes long. But what I'll tell people is that if you're patient enough to listen to a 45-minute album start to finish, you should be patient enough to listen to a 45-minute song. I mean, there's so many different phases and melodies on this song that it might as well be multiple. And for me personally, some of these longer songs are the most gratifying musical experiences I have ever had. That's enough said, let's talk about the top 10 songs by Swans, and I'll do some honorable mentions towards the end. At number 10, we have the penultimate track off The Seer, A Piece of the Sky. This album's cover, I feel like, perfectly encapsulates the album experience. Most of it feels really monstrous and dark. Lots of pummeling drums, blaring synths, and instrumentation that just sounds cultish and barbaric. It's 2 hours long, it's a 2-hour-long intense experience, but occasionally it'll break away from that dark atmosphere and become really beautiful, and those moments just astonish me. So this is the most powerful moment on the album for me, A Piece of the Sky. And it's kind of a weird pick because during the first 10 minutes of this song, barely anything happens. It starts off in this apocalyptic mode, there's this burning sound, and then we transitioned into a choir, and then something kind of creepier, and then somewhere a little brighter. Then we hear a song that's much more of a traditional rock song, but it's completely instrumental and way less in your face than the rest of the album. I wouldn't really call it aggressive or soft, it's sort of like an in-between tone. I really like the sound of the piano or keys during this section. And then the last 5 minutes of this song are just heavenly. It's mostly just high end and low ends. There's a lot of these high-pitched bells and a really nice bass line that's jumping up and down an octave and has this nice kind of bouncy feel to it. The vocals and lyrics are kind of gross in a way that kind of ties it to the rest of the album and sort of contrasts from the sound of this song. Michael Giro's vocals do really stand out on this song though. They're a lot more lo-fi, and whenever he says the line, "Are you there?" they double track his vocals and they harmonize in a really nice way. The last 5 minutes of the song are definitely the highlight, but I think people may just want to skip to that and not really get it. This song is about contrasting emotions, and it does really help if you listen to the whole album, or even just the whole song. You really do need that ambient and instrumental section to get the experience that's intended here. The band really shows the power of a great arrangement here, and if you're willing to listen to the whole thing, it's a powerful experience. One that music rarely gives. But if you rush to the finish line and don't listen to the setup, the payoff doesn't really work as well. At number 9, we have She Loves Us off of To Be Kind. This song is awesome in the polar opposite way. It is just pure and simple aggression. This album is full of just these great grooves that they just let grow and grow in intensity as they repeat them until they're just at maximum aggression. The first leg of this song sort of has this tribal feel to it, where there's these vocals that are just kind of nonsense chanting that they kind of incorporate, and it sounds very otherworldly. It doesn't really feel like it's going anywhere until it just stops and we get this cacophony of these explosive drum hits and guitar hits that sound disorganized and almost improvised, but they very clearly aren't. Then we get the last leg of the song, which is basically just letting this bass groove grow in intensity for 10 minutes. This section is full of great guitar, bass, and drum work. It all sounds very punchy, but there's also some sparkly tambourine and keys underneath that give it this nice texture. And the lyrics and vocals kind of follow suit with these contrasting sounds. On one end, Michael Gira is chanting Hallelujah over and over again. It's like this religious chant. And then on another track, he is giving one of the craziest vocal performances ever. The most notable thing he says during this section of the song is, "Your name is fuck," which he repeats and yells multiple times. I've seen a lot of interesting interpretations of this song. My interpretation was always that it's sort of about men demeaning women and treating them as objects. This whole album has a very brutal and villainous tone to it, and I feel like it's about the most brutal and villainous aspects of our society. I really don't know though, my interpretation could be totally wrong, and all I know is he is selling this vocal performance, and it sounds like he is truly having this maniacal power trip. It's just an insane song to listen to. At number 8, we have Finally Peace, which is another song like Piece of the Sky that sort of contrasts in the way that it sounds really hopeful and pretty, which is rare. It also just sort of has a similar sound to Piece of the Sky, very similar sounding bass. This is the final song on this trilogy of albums that I've now talked about in order, and I think that context is important. I think it's pretty clear that this song is about ascending into a different plane of existence through death, and the line about the cities dissolving and heavens inhaling makes that pretty clear. There's also some other lines at the first half that talk about, the world being like an illusion, and I think that's through the eyes of leaving the world. I don't really have that much more to say about this song. I just think it's a really beautiful way to end this run of albums. Albums really can be so much more than just a collection of songs, and I feel like Swans always take advantage of that medium to create a really cinematic experience that deliberately twists at your emotions in different ways. Alright, at number 7 we have Animus off of Soundtracks for the Blind. This song is also a very nice contrast from the rest of its album. Hopefully this video isn't getting repetitive, but yes, this is one of the other sort of softer songs that Swans have made. You have an album that's genuinely horrifying and disturbing. Soundtracks for the Blind is one of the most insane, crazy, unpredictable album experiences you'll ever have. So many of the songs on here sound so nightmarish and otherworldly, but this song really stands out because it sounds so soft and human, at least at the beginning. This is the most soft and intimate and, I think, emotional I've ever heard Michael Gira's vocals sound. The sound of his voice is genuinely beautiful, and it always catches me off guard emotionally because I'm just so not used to his voice sounding like this. In terms of lyrics, I have trouble interpreting this one. The title tying it to Jungian psychology makes it so much more confusing for me. To me, it's pretty clearly about some sort of abusive relationship, but whether that's like a romantic relationship or a parental relationship, I don't really know. I think the general tone of this song makes me think maybe it's the latter. I kind of feel like this song might be about child abuse, which, stay tuned for more fun videos from Michael Mann 2000. Yeah, the whole atmosphere of the song is so desolate. It starts off so soft and intimate, and then becomes this sort of loud, there's these really harsh strings, and there's really like one cymbal for the percussion that just sort of is in the background in this way that just, it sounds so weird. It's honestly the most underrated song by the band, in my opinion. It's rarely talked about, and I feel like it's easily the most emotional song they've ever made. Yeah, I just feel like it's so beautiful and also has that otherworldly element that ties it really well to this album. I just think it's amazing. At number 6 we have Bring the Sun slash Toussant Louverture. How many songs are over 30 minutes, made by a pretty much unknown band, and have more than 1 million plays on Spotify? This is probably the only one, cause it's a goddamn masterpiece! The first 15 minutes of the song is like the most epic piece of music ever made. It's just ascending in intensity and volume until it can't go any further. And the slow process of getting there is just incredible. I have blasted this song at full volume so many times in my car, and by the end of it, I always feel like I've just gone on like a workout, because this thing is a Greek odyssey of a song. The first half is so bright and ascending sounding, but the second half is so much creepier and weirder, and it just sort of sounds like these unorganized noises that just come in and out, and you're not really sure where it's going for a while, until it does all come together and eventually become this just grandiose wall of noise. The second half of the song is just so wild, and the last 3 minutes are so noisy, it sounds like you've been set on fire. Every instrument is just screeching at its loudest possible. I don't know how you top this. I don't know how you could make a more powerful or epic rock song. The only example I could think of that might be it is... Number 5, we have the title track off The Glowing Man. This song feels like an inverse of Bring the Sun slash Toussant Louverture. It seems like the first half here is the disorganized, sort of weird sounding section, and the second half is the more exciting and rhythmic arrangement. I feel like Bring the Sun is the best example in Swans' catalog of build-up, where this song is probably the best example of the release to that build-up. The second half of this song is just a gratifying roller coaster of a rock song. It's so fast and stimulating, and the ending is just incredible. The piano at the end of the song sounds like somebody is sitting on it. It's just these clusters of notes. It's just such an exciting way to finish off a song, a big grandiose song like this one. The way the vocals are manipulated is so weird and interesting, and bring the song to a really great conclusion. This is my favorite of the really, really long Swan songs. At number 4, we have A Little God in My Hands. This song is so groovy that I feel like everybody can enjoy it on some level, maybe. Obviously, a lot of this band's songs are kind of inaccessible because of how long and abrasive they are. And this song is 7 minutes long, so it's definitely pretty long for most people. It also has these like abrasive horn freakouts. And yet somehow I feel like this might be the most accessible song on this list to most people, because it is just so fun in this really villainous way. It is so evil sounding. Every drum rings out like they are gigantic. The bass just pummels along. It's so weighty. As the song goes on, vocals and different instruments stack onto each other, and they're all kind of doing something different melodically and rhythmically, but they stack together so nicely. Kind of reminds me of some late era Tom Waits a little bit. I don't really have much more to say about this one. There's not really that much to read into here, I feel like. It just sucks me into the groove every time I listen to it. It's one of my favorite songs ever, honestly. Probably the song I listen to most on this list, other than... Number 3, we have Oxygen, also off of To Be Kind. This song is like a goddamn anxiety attack. It's like peak punk rock music, kind of, I guess, maybe. It's just repeating this musical phrase over and over and over again, and it's so satisfying. I've already talked about this song a lot in the past, but I gotta say again, it is a goddamn powerhouse. It's so simple, it's so repetitive, it's just trying to be loud and in your face, but it does it in the best way possible. I gotta mention the drumming. It's so good on this whole album, but on this song it's especially explosive, and that really fast ride symbol at the start of the song is so good too. The horns add so much volume to the riff. The vocals are just insane. They're so animalistic and crazy. Michael Giro just starts saying woof over and over again during part of this song, and you don't even question it when it happens. He's just being crazy. I love this song. It's such a headbanger. Super satisfying in every way, and as I said in the Fantana video, the best part of this entire album is when this song just goes silent in the middle, and then comes back so much louder. It's so fun. At number 2, we have Blind. I don't even know what album to say this is off of, because it's on like 3 of them, I think. This is another one off of the rare, softer side of this band. And it's one of the most beautiful songs ever. You need a bit of attachment to this band, I feel, to realize how truly intimate and personal this song is. There's so much ugliness being expressed with so much of their other music that hearing this soft ballad with this sort of religious-sounding humming ends up being one of the hardest-hitting things they've ever made. And this is not the only song like this. There's a lot of folksy tunes they made during this era of the band, but this one really stands out. Lyrically, I think this is easily their best song. It's a metaphor about your mind being blind, not your eyes, and learning on a tape recording during another song of this band, you learn that Michael Gira's father was going blind as he got older, which sort of gives the song a much more personal tone. Like, he obviously didn't come up with that metaphor out of nowhere. This song is just a meditation on how Michael Gira has decided to deceive himself in different ways throughout his lives, but obviously that theme is just a defining aspect of humanity. In the song, he talks about being desensitized to the suffering of other people, he talks about religion, he talks about alcoholism. But no matter your method, everybody engages in a method of self-deception. This is many people's favorite song by the band. I totally understand why. It's probably their most raw, in a way. But there's one song I like just a little more. But before we do that, let's talk about some honorable mentions. I'll limit these to 1 per album. On Filth, I want to talk about the opener song, Stay Here. I work out to this song sometimes. It is like proto-grunge, it's so loud and dingy, and it's great. On The Burning World, I'll mention the song Goddamn the Sun. This song almost sounds like a nice breezy summer's day until old man Michael Gira starts grumbling about alcoholism. On The Great Annihilator, I gotta mention Killing for Company. I feel like this song should be like a gothic anthem. I don't know why it's not more popular among those crowds, or was like 30 years ago when it came out. On White Light from the Mouth of Infinity, I gotta mention the song Love Will Save You. It has these kind of contrasting emotions between, like, beautiful and optimistic and, like, crushing and pessimistic, I'd say. I really don't know what the message of this song is, but I like it. I gotta mention the sound off of Soundtracks for the Blind. This song is so epic and ascending, and it just keeps getting grander and grander in that classic Swans way. The top YouTube comment on this song says you want to be friends with anybody who likes this song, so DM me. On The Seer, I'll mention the last song, Apostate. The ending with the drumming and screaming has been my ringtone for a while, and it horrifies people, but it makes me laugh. It's seriously the best ending to any of their albums, though. That last moment is so cinematic. It feels like the creature on the cover of this is getting, like, shot at or crushed by boulders and then just does this one last yell. Horrifying and amazing and wonderful. I don't know any more adjectives for it. Let's move on. I've already talked about 4 songs off of this album, but I think if I had to choose my 5th favorite, it'd probably be Just a Little Boy. It's so weird and hypnotic and unpredictable. Like, there's these, like, blaring loud guitar noises that just come out of nowhere, and those are really satisfying. I love every song on the album. It's hard to pick favorites. I just want to mention them all. The main reason I'm doing honorable mentions is because of Frankie M off of The Glowing Man. I was so close to putting this one on the list, and if I'm in the right mood, it would definitely break my top 10. I think a lot of the times I think it's a little too repetitive and maybe a little too drawn out. It is a 20-minute song. This song is about a character named Frankie M succumbing to heroin addiction, and Michael Gira refers to her as Butterfly at some points, which just sounds so fucking tragic to me. And the entire end of the song is them just saying, "Don't die," and somehow it doesn't sound dramatic, which is why I don't think it's cheesy. It's like, it never gets aggressive, even when it sounds like maybe it should, considering what the story of the song is. There's just calm sadness in his voice, and it's just an amazing experience of a song. I'll also mention Michael Is Done off The Beggar. I like the song, it's my name, but I just think it's a nice finale for the band, considering this is probably their last album, and while it's not the last song on the album, it's the most obvious about the band itself ending. That's it for honorable mentions, so let's get to the number 1 pick.
Hi, I'm Michael, and I have a lot of opinions about swans, and I also think that public castration is a good idea, and the best Swans album is To Be Kind.
Shoo.
This song should be in the public conversation for greatest songs of all time. Everybody who's listened to it, I feel like, talks about it in that way. In my opinion, this is genuinely maybe the best song of all time. The progression of it is incredible at every phase and just provides an amazing experience musically. I don't even understand how humans made this track. It's just this otherworldly, mysterious, magical experience. The song starts off really uneasy with this synth pattern that eventually settles down over the course of a couple minutes and has these low frequencies that sort of give the song a bass. And then we get some percussion and guitars, and one of the guitars has been manipulated in this way that it just rings out in this really, really cool sounding way. The lyrics describe an unborn child being harmed by the mother's drug use, and so many of the lyrics are so strange though that the song can be interpreted in so many different ways. The only commonality between the many interpretations I've heard is that it's about dependency on someone or something that's also harming you. The rest of the song is just an instrumental passage, but I don't think the story ends there. We get louder crashes of guitars and cymbals, but not in an aggressive way. This section more is just grand. It almost sounds like some sort of birth is happening, or the protagonist is breaking away from their dependency. And the last 5.5 minutes of this song continue this pattern, but now we also get these keys that are just magical. It's sort of more of an organ sound, but it just astounds me every time. I feel like my life is flashing before my eyes during this section. And I feel like maybe the meaning of the story during this section is about forgiveness. Possibly self-forgiveness, but that's just the interpretation I've come to. There's a lot of different ways you can look at this song, but without a doubt, it's the most amazing of all time.
Hi, I am Michael, and I really like swans. They are not only my favorite bird, but also one of the first names of someone that I like, which is my girlfriend, Swanon, who is not in this video due to the fact that she could not make it today. And I am Michael, and I think you should like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And Michael's not standing right behind the camera.
You're so awkward in the exact same way I am.